This is Stories from the Hackery, a podcast about the students, alumni, and community members that continue to shape Nashville Software School. Nashville Software School is the nation's first nonprofit coding boot camp where a person with aptitude and motivation can gain the skills needed for a career in tech. For more information, visit us at nashvillesoftwareschool.com. Welcome back to Stories from the Hackery. I'm John Wark, the founder and CEO at the software school, and really looking forward to today's conversation. We've got a guest that I've known for a bunch of years now, just a few. Guy who's really been a fixture in the Nashville tech community, certainly for as long as I've been actively engaged. One of the leading lights, I would say, of the data side of the tech community. Well-known academic but also somebody who's been engaged through his academic work initially, but now more recently through his consulting work with real world problems, real world businesses. He's also been massively engaged in the community, bringing new people into the community, bringing his students into the community, engaged with the Nashville Technology Council forever. So, all
right, that's enough.
Really pleased to welcome Charlie Apigian to the show.
So
I had to build you up, Charlie, because I'll probably ask you for something here later. So, Charlie, for those who don't know you, give us your personal elevator pitch. Who is Charlie Apigian?
Yeah, originally from a kid from Detroit that was in the auto industry and decided that was most interested in making impact. And I wanted to do that with students. And so I went off and got my PhD so I could be a professor and came down to Middle Tennessee State University and did that for over 20 years. And then I didn't realize I was becoming a data scientist, but I was statistics. And then I was technology, and I taught both the whole time I was at MTSU. Still to this day, I do at Belmont University. And then in 2018 is when I built out a data science institute at MTSU. And then I did it at Belmont as well. But I just got active in the community way back when, John, and we've known each other the whole time. I think you've been very active as well. And why? Because I just liked the community and I loved bringing my students, being that bridge between the two worlds. And the last couple of years, though, I've really focused on consulting. And now I have my own company, Data Inspire. And then I do work with LBMC and then my own personal stuff as well. And I bring students, or what I like to say is the eager, instead of experience, to work with me. So I get to teach as well while I'm consulting with my team, and I'm having an absolute blast.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, you always bring that, everything I've ever been around you that's been going on, you bring this positive energy to everything, which is really infectious, Charlie. I mean, it's just a great ingredient to have in the community. And so you've not taught for us, you've been teaching.
Sure.
In
the traditional space, I guess, right?
In the traditional higher education community.
That's right.
So we lowly members of the post-secondary education world. Yeah. But you have had some opportunities to sort of intersect with NSS through various things. I know you've,
First, I feel I'm one of your best salespeople because for years, people would come to me that were already educated and they wanted skills. And the last thing I'm going to tell you to do is go get another degree. You need skills and you're already educated. I believe go get the skills. And I feel you all at NSS and what you've built there is that exact thing. And so for many years, it just makes sense. Like, why would I force a student to take on debt, to go and take all these classes that are not relative to what they want when they've already got a degree? You're already educated. I believe there's a difference between education and skills. And education is problem solving, the ability to learn on your own, the ability to work in a group. And you need that maturation process when you're 18. And I believe the most fun way to do that is go to college, right? It's fun to be around your peers, and it's an accelerated way to get educated. But you also get some skills, not enough skills, I believe, in the education space. So let's say you're educated and now you want to get those skills. You want to pivot from one career to another, or you've just been lost and then you finally realize that technology is your thing. I'd rather them go to a boot camp or a place where they focus on the skills since they're already educated. And that to me has always been the Nashville Software School. Can I talk about my success story? My student, that one of your former students that I still work.
Absolutely. We're always up for talking about one of our graduates.
So I got to tell you this. I had one of my consulting projects was a very hard problem we were trying to solve. This was about 8 months ago, and we were building out a custom large language model, and we were stuck, and I needed a front-end developer. And so I'm at the data science meetup, which I organized that with Jason King. And at our monthly meeting, we had about 5 NSS grads that had just finished the front end or a full stack program. This was back in, I think, August. And I was like, hey, I need somebody that can do front end development. And here's this guy, looks like a rock star. He's got these funky cowboy boots and his hair's all over the place. And everybody goes, that's the guy you want. He's brilliant. It's Matt Novotny. And so Matt and I started talking. And since then, him and I have been working together on every one of my projects. I bring him onto every one of them. We just got back from Chicago yesterday, and he's always been working with me. He had no experience before he went to Nashville Software School. For 12 years, he was a touring musician. Sound like anything that happens in Nashville? And while he was in Australia, I think it was during Christmas, he's like, I'm tired of this. I need a change. And he signed up for NSS, finished the program. And like a week after he graduated is when I met him, and has been an absolute dream. And I consider him one of our pillars of my company, Data Inspire, and every project he works on with me. And I always love it. There's 2 things he'll say. If I say, hey, can you do this? And of course, at that point, he has no idea how to do it, right? He's the kind that'll go learn it. And he'll say, totally. And that means he's heard me, but he has no idea how to do it. If he says, absolutely, I know there's a chance he can do it. And he always gets it done. And he's built these incredible front ends for my stuff. I'm the data guy, right? I'm not the one that's going to make the pretty front end for it. And I'm also not going to do the back end stuff. I need help there. And so by having a support team with people like Matt, I have just been having the time of my life.
That's such a great story. You and I have talked about Matt before.
Yeah.
And it is such a great story because, first of all, a musician. Imagine that in Nashville. And, you've heard me say, I've probably said it on this podcast a number of times before, the single most reliable predictor of aptitude to do this kind of work, when we interview people who don't have background, who've never done it before, are you a musician?
Yeah.
Right? The cognitives,
right?
Yeah.
It's something about the logic and that's what I want. I want the eager, the ones that want to go and learn something. And if you've already had that logic and for some reason it transforms into good tech problem solving skills.
Oh, yeah. It does.
I firmly believe that, and I've always seen that in my students, because I've been teaching master's level forever. I get a lot of students that are in their second career trying to get a master's degree. Same thing. There's two really good ones. There's obviously the musicians, and second is veterans.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I am always knowing that I'm getting somebody that is going to just do a great job.
Yeah. Veterans always do well at NSS as well. But, the musicians, and Charlie, if they've played for any length of time in a band, they get the issues of teamwork, right? Yeah. So music is almost constant a form of problem solving. The other thing is it's a constant learning, and you're always mastering a new song, maybe mastering a new instrument. So, and the learning process you need to do that maps very well to the learning process when Charlie comes and says, hey, can you build one of these?
That's right.
And he says, totally. I'll go
Totally.
check. I'm going to go look. But, I think musicians have lost their fear to a large degree of the new, of the unknown. They just know how to dive in. And that's something we try to help our students learn how they learn, because hey, if you're going to attack, that's what you're going to do your whole career. Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why, for people that love learning new things, are lifelong learners, getting these skills and getting into these career paths is amazing. But I loved hearing Matt's story from you. It's so, it's so cool.
You think about that, this ability to, every project I've done since starting consulting, I had no idea how to do it. Right.
Right.
I'm as classically trained as a data scientist as you can get, whether going back to my PhD, basically in statistics, and then coding the whole time. If you've got a couple of gray hairs, you're in your 50s, that's about as good as you got, right? And there was no data science programs. But now everything I'm doing is AI. Everything is connecting to a large language model. It's using LangChain for agents. That's all new to me, just as much as it is to the entry-level person. And that fear goes away for me because of experience. And I think you're right. The fear goes away for a musician, for a veteran, because they've been in those kind of situations before. And that is the number one skill you need, I think, in this new AI world, is the ability to dive into things that you do not know how to do.
Right. Well, because we're all starting from scratch, right?
Yeah.
No matter how many years experience you've got in classic software engineering or data science and statistics or whatever, this AI stuff is new. Now, parts of it, machine learning, we've been doing that for a while. But this generative AI stuff, large language models, and all the things around it, retrieval augmented generation and vector databases and blah, blah, blah. It's all new. It's kind of like when the internet came in, right? All of a sudden, brand newbies were on equal footing with folks with 10 years of experience doing old school mini computer applications or whatever, right? So
that's when I was young, right? And I came into the field, and it was like building websites and connecting to different things. Was super easy. Yeah, you already had 20, 30 years at that point, right, John?
Oh yeah, I was old even then.
Oh, well, if you think about, again, I like to think of myself as a person that is obviously a data scientist, but my superpower is taking the complex and simplifying it for the average person. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about, how do I talk about something in a way that people can understand? And the way I look at, there's the data component. But what I've noticed recently is AI, for me, is an accelerator. So we have a couple of projects that should have taken 12 to 16 weeks, and we're finishing them in 4. And the reason is we can tap into every large language model also has the ability to connect or to do like pre-trained modeling for us as well. So it used to be I'd have to collect a big data set, train a model, and I'd have to, getting that data set usually took me 4 weeks. Now I don't need as much data. I just need what I need to use to predict, and I can do sentiment analysis by connecting to Claude. I can do so much more and so much more quickly because of these tools. Now, is the result better than I would have gotten before? I don't know, but it's pretty darn good. But I know what I'm doing. See, there's a difference. I'm not throwing data at a model, and whether it's Claude or OpenAI or Gemini, and just saying, please help me. I know what I want. I want a cluster analysis using k-means clustering, and I can go through certain things. So the ability to know what the code should be, know what the modeling should be, is going to be a superpower, as opposed to what curly bracket do I use here or a square bracket. That I'm taking that out of my brain these days, and I'm only focusing on the knowing part.
Yeah, the tools are able, just like has been happening for the 50 years plus I've been doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's another generation of tools which strip out a couple more layers of grunt work from the low. I don't have to think about the curly brackets as much anymore, even though the LLMs make mistakes. But your knowledge,
right? Yeah.
well, that's right. But that's where the tools can fool us if we don't have the background, if we don't have the coding skill, or, in your case, the statistical skills, the data science skills, right? Which allows you to do two things. One, you can give the tool very detailed requirements, right? I mean, that's basically what you're doing. It's what we've said forever that we're supposed to do to build good stuff is know what the freaking requirements are.
That's right.
And so you're able to give it detailed requirements, but you're also able to evaluate the output, right? Because again, you know what it's supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
You know how to look for errors. You know how to set up and test it to make sure it's doing what you want, right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of where I think the mantra you hear from some people that these tools are going to kill software development or data analytics or data science as careers, I think is just off base.
I agree.
Not today.
It excites me. It excites me more because we get the opportunity to do more, right? Instead of being too many people in our industry are siloed for what they know how to do. And every problem they get, they try to do what they've learned. And it's not the right approach a lot of times. And I go through things with a very methodological, it's a hard word to say, approach. But that's through years and years of having the ability to try everything. An academic, I can do anything, right? If I want to go learn natural language processing back in the day, I had the ability to do that. I didn't have to focus on what I had to do for my job. My job was to learn everything. And I did that, it made it easier. I teach the freshman level Python class at Belmont, and it's specifically for analytics and data science. So, I mean, we're importing data on day one, we're cleaning on day two, and I showed my students how they could finish their homework in 30 seconds with Claude 3.7. All I had to do was upload the PDF that I created for them, and it was done. And I said, so what do I do to make you ready in 3 years? I don't care about your grade. I don't care. If you want to shortcut things, you're just shortcutting yourself for 3 years from now. What can I do? And they all said the same thing. I want to use these tools, but I want to know why I'm using them. I want to know. And so I'm not showing them how to do code in class anymore. I'm showing them why. I'm showing them how it matters, how it applies. I'm going to show them the front ends I'm building so they can see what they're going toward. And like for their midterm, I gave them code that was wrong. And because, like you said, you're going to get the code from a Claude or a Chat GPT, and it's not always right, or it's not exactly what you need, and you need to know how to dissect it. And that to me is I don't know if people agree with me on this, but I'm letting them use the tools. I want them to try Chat GPT for their homework because I know they're going to do it when they leave my class.
Well, yeah. That's kind of the reality. We're right now, we're in a little bit different place. We're still trying to focus the students on coding it themselves initially, right? But over the course of, let's say, a 6-month boot camp or whichever one they're in, right? Where we want to start them is using these tools as a learning assistant, right? Because it can be very valuable for that. And I mean, we've taught them since the day we started how to use Stack Overflow. And we used to say, well, God invented Google, so programmers wouldn't have to remember this stuff. So, and you can use Claude, ChatGPT, any of these tools basically as kind of those tools on steroids, or it's a coach it's a supportive, positive coach, question answerer which senior developers aren't always all those things.
That's right.
So it's a
Yeah.
great aid. It's a great aid to help you learn. And so again, since when they get out, they're always going to be learning how to use the tools effectively for that. We think it's a pretty great place to start.
Yeah.
And then, down the road in the class, okay, let's start looking at how.
Yeah, you start applying it, and you apply it in the best means that you can. A lot of times, these are business students, by the way, that I'm teaching. I'm in the College of Business. This is their only programming class, and I have them 30 total times, twice a week for 15 weeks. That's it. And and I've got to get them ready they may not see code again for 3 years, unfortunately.
Well, right. You're educating them for a different goal than we are.
Sure.
So
and they're most of them honestly will go be accountants because they're double majoring, or they're music business plus. I mean, I've got music business majors. They're like, I got to know how to code. I'm like, trust me, you will love this because you're going to get data, and you're going to have 100,000 rows, and you could spend 60 hours in Excel, or you can write one script in Python. Which would you rather do? I know what I'm doing, and it's over and over again. But if you think about the things that I've learned lately in terms of consulting, this has really changed my mind. And I want to give. I don't know if I've publicly said this before, but John Hilton, and I don't know if you've met John yet, but John's a new board member for the Nashville Technology Council. He's the person at LBMC that got me to work there. He let me come in and just say, Charlie, do your thing, and let's find a couple of projects and go for it. And has given me this free reign, has given me resources, people, and also I'm allowed to hire my own. So that's why I've got Matt on my team who works for me, but then I'm working with people at LBMC on these projects. All that to be said, what I've learned more than anything else is it has to be a team. It has to be a team in this new fast-moving world, and you better have a couple of young ones on there or people that can keep up with things. But you do need us, John. And right? Yeah. We understand how to connect the problem to the solution, and you need that. You can't just go into it with the hammer and say, where's the nail? You have to understand the problem. When companies come to me, they're saying, I need AI. And I'm like, what is your business strategy? What do you value the most? And they're like, well, I just need AI. I'm like, I know, but I need to know how to enhance your employees. I need to know what we need to do before I just start telling you which widget you need.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, a lot of people are coming in with, I can solve all your problems if you buy my platform. So then I'm looking at my team, and there's got to be aspects. You got to have a front-end developer. Man, if you don't make things beautiful, nobody's going to use it. Nobody's going to trust it. And you go to it once and you'll never come back if it looks like it's from Windows, right? But if it looks beautiful, this is what Matt Novotny's learning over and over again. He's like, it better look good. It better look good if you want people to use it. You got to have the data person. Yes, you got to have the data scientist. But I'll tell you, software engineering is not dead. I have one individual on my team right now where he has to web scrape one day. He has to figure out ways to make things efficient because nobody wants to wait 3 minutes to get an answer.
Right.
And then the other part, which you and I have talked a lot about lately, is data engineering. It is by far the most important thing that I have to do is make sure that I can get to the data, that it's stored in a place that's safe, but that's accessible, that we have to create pipelines to it so that when I start asking it to do certain things, I actually can get the answer. And here's the hard part. Right now, if you don't have a good data engineer and you're using large language models, your answers are not reliable. Plain and simple. So we are figuring out ways to do things, and without that data engineer, I'm in trouble. So that's my team these days.
Well, and let's talk about the data engineering piece for a minute or two, because it's really come to feel to us over the last 3 years, 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
That the whole field of data engineering, and data engineering is not new. We've done it forever.
Sure.
We use different terms. I mean, data engineering as a term is relatively new, but it was a much narrower, more constrained kind of field, right? I mean, it was being a DBA on a Microsoft SQL database or something, right? I mean, but it does feel like that it has emerged, as you really just said, as a really key new career path that's associated with all this other stuff that's going on: data analytics, data science, machine learning, generative AI, you name it, cloud computing, right? That it's become sort of a glue function or like a key enabler under all of that, right?
Yeah.
And certainly I think we're learning again for the nth time how important data is with generative AI, right? Because a lot of times the things we want to do with generative AI, I mean, if you don't have your data secure, if you don't have stuff anonymized, right? Depending on your industry and all those things.
Yeah.
So there, and then I'm pipelining from a lot of places a lot of times to bring the things. And it's
different types of data, right? It's now document, it's structured data, it's data from the internet, it's
not just my operational relational databases, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's external data, sometimes mostly external data, which brings its own fun set of challenges.
Sure.
But it's also lots of unstructured data that we've never really managed in a sort of an organized way, and maybe we don't understand very well in the systematic way that you need to understand it to really drive like an effective generative AI application or whatever.
Yeah.
So we started getting asked, 3-4 years ago from some employers that we've worked with, when are you start training some data engineers? I can't hire them. I can't find them. Right. Mm-hmm. And I remember that's exactly what led us to data science 8 or 9 years ago.
Yep.
I started getting people asking that. And so we started watching data engineering saying, oh, well, that's interesting. And then as the generative AI stuff exploded, it just seems that that's so central. So it's interesting to sort of hear your thoughts that, I mean, one, it's a team, but two, and that data engineer or that data engineering team in my team of teams in a bigger organization is a critical component of that. Yeah. So,
and the data engineering field continues to evolve. Like, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, we just called them database administrators, right? Because it was all on-prem, and then you just had to connect to your database, and you had to know how to extract data from that. Well, then all of a sudden everything went into the cloud, and now we became data engineers. But what we're doing now that's a little bit different is, if you're going to connect your data, your documents to a large language model using a RAG system, well, now you're using either a vector database or a graph database.
Right.
And that's, and how do you chunk that? How do you tag it so that you can use it? Oh, and by the way, now everybody wants it to be multimodal. And so, which means I need it to read my documents, but I also want it to go to my structured data and add some context to the answer. I mean, so we're trying to, a lot of times, create brains for companies. Mm-hmm. And they want to ask a simple question and get an answer. They want to know how their stores in the Northeast are doing. And by the way, what are the customer reviews like? Is it good, bad, indifferent in just that region? Well, you know what? We can do that if you have good data engineering. And in most cases, you get into a situation where they say, I want to use AI. You're like, that's great. Their data's a mess. Everybody's data's a mess.
Everybody's data's a mess.
Nailed it, right? So do you put, like I like to say, lipstick on a pig, right? Or do you try to get it in order? And you need good data engineering for that, because how do you catalog it? How do you go through all of that? That is a data engineer's role today, is getting the data in order, connecting to that data. And then it's not good enough anymore just to connect to data. It's, can you connect to it and get reliable results? when using a
Right.
large language model. And everybody's like, well, it gave me the wrong answer. And we've got a client right now where we're building some really cool stuff. And he's like, it gave me the wrong answer. It told me it wasn't in there. And we went and looked, it wasn't in there. And so it's like, so that's hard. It's hard to figure it out. So we're having to do things that we've never thought before we'd have to do. And I didn't know what a vector database was just a couple of years ago, right? I've never used one.
Yeah.
And now that's all I do because I'm structuring documents most of the time.
Right.
And so the to me, the best new entry into technology is data engineering.
Wow.
Hands down.
That's
Hands
strong.
down.
That's strong statement.
Or if you start creating those individuals, they will have jobs because it's this evolving. Now, just realize you have to create curriculum for things for 2 years from now. And I don't know what it's going to look like in 2 years, but the world of, when you hear AI engineering, it's data engineering. It is.
Oh, a lot of it is. Yeah. Looking into it, I think a lot of it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that is, and it's, by the way, something as an old guy, I struggle to learn.
You young whippersnapper, come on.
Data engineering's hard. It's like,
yeah,
it's hard if you haven't grown up with it.
It's very multifaceted, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of elements to it. I mean, and it ranges from very down in the weeds detail, right?
Yeah.
All the different infrastructure. Oh my God. And there's something new every week. And performance, all the security, integrity, those issues, pipelining. But then also, how do I understand it? How do I model all of these diverse data sets, some of which aren't sourced from me? I get them from outside. Well, I mean, and so it's also led to these much more kind of complex data architectures that we have to manage, right? I mean, if we go back far enough to the days I can remember, well, okay, let's not go back to VSAM files, or punch cards. Hey,
I want to hear about that. Come on now, John.
But we used to think about data and it was structured data, but we didn't even say structured because just the assumption was this is what's in my relational database. This is my operational transactional data, right? And then we sort of created the idea of data warehouses so that we could extract data from my transactional data and put it in structures and formats that let us start to do data mining, start to do some analytics, right? But it was basically derived from my transactional data, right? But now because we've got all these diverse types of data, and it's not just text and transactional stuff. I've got, depending on the industry, again, I may have images, I may have video, I may have all of these kinds of things that have to be managed in their own way. But yet I need to be able to put some umbrellas over them. And so we get the concepts of data lakes and data lake houses and some of these things, and wrapping your head around all of that. I mean, that can be non-trivial, right?
Yeah. When I get younger folks and they get into their careers, and the ones that aspire to do data science or to do AI now, whatever they say, what is the best background for me? So you can be a BI reporter, right? You're doing Power BI dashboards, and then the next thing they want to do is become more data science related, right? You can have the mathematical person, right? The person that comes out with heavy statistics, and then they want to become a data scientist. And then you can have the data engineer side. If I had to choose out of those three, I would take the data engineer. I really would.
Wow.
Because they understand how it all ties together. The data ties together. BI reporters, I struggled getting them to get the concept that I normally need and the idea of the data. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. And then mathematically, if that's all you're good at, it's hard to get you to understand the domain knowledge sometimes.
Right.
Now you got to teach the tech, which you can teach tech. You can't, it's hard. You need to, if I'm in an online environment, I don't know if I've ever said this out loud. I'm about ready to drop a bomb on you. Ready? I have never in my life taken a coding class. Never. I've watched a lot of videos. I've done data camp. I've done Coursera. But when I was an undergrad, I was a business major.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah, your root academic background is more statistics, things like that, right?
Statistics and business.
And you didn't have, you never got exposed to programming back in the day. Well, hey, Charlie, I mean, you remember I was a creative writing major, dude.
That's right.
So I've never taken a formal college computer science class either.
Yeah.
Learned on the job, learned from books, because that's all we had back then.
You buy the thick, remember those thick books? The index
God.
was like dream for you if it was a good
index. Yeah. Or Don Knuth's 4 volumes of algorithms, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love those. Anyways, so I don't know how we got off on that, but it was fun. Anyways, but right,
we had to learn ourselves, right? And
right.
Our ability to learn again. Can I teach somebody today how to code? Yeah, I can. And you don't even need me much. I need to give you the direction to go in. I need to push you in the right direction. I need to give you the problem-solving skills to understand. So, like, if I think about the early days of me learning how to code, Stack Overflow was actually hard to navigate. And now, if I type in just the word drop, the next thing is going to be drop rows in pandas, right? It's like it just knows me now, right?
It knows you, yeah.
Capabilities became so much better over time. Then, once I got good enough, I didn't go to the internet. I went to my code, and that's what I was searching. And I would just start making my own templates. And so students will ask me all the time, why are you doing it this way? When I Googled it, it gave me a different answer. I'm like, because when I Googled it, it gave me my answer, and I've been doing it ever since. It's how we learned.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I used to tell students at NSS, right? There could be 1,000 different ways to solve this problem, right? So don't obsess about, what's the right way to solve the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the right way to solve the problem is a way that gives the user the answer they want in the time they want it, right? And, don't wrap yourself around the axle too much about whether you've dialed in the algorithm 100% right. Because the other thing that's going to happen is, if this is the first time you've done this, you're going to give it to the user. They're going to say, yeah, that's what I wanted. But now that I've seen it, I think we ought to change it. Yeah. And there went your algorithm. You said, don't worry about that stuff. So looping back a little bit to your teamwork point, and it's a team, and we need the senior people. We need the experienced people. Because again, they've got so much more of that context, right? Mm-hmm. And they see the broader implications of what's going on. They may know the problem domain a lot more, right? But particularly, I think at this point in time, the next few years of these technology, that again, it's like the early days of the internet or the early days of the PC and client server. You had to have the young guys because they're the ones that adopted that technology, and they weren't restricted by their prior knowledge. The curse of knowledge problem, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've always done it this way. Well, yeah, but you don't do it that way with an LLM because it's not deterministic, and so all your old tricks aren't going to work.
And I think that teamwork approach. So the skill that I need today is when hearing a problem, knowing what to do. Because what I've noticed is if you are entry level, you sometimes it's hard to connect those dots before you've done it. The experience, that's where the experience comes into play. I've got a great example. We're working on helping a startup create their MVP. So I've got a team of 5 working on it. Matt's, of course, one of them. He's building the front end of it for the MVP. But we had to do a ton of web scraping, a ton of analysis. We're using large language models to do things. But on day one, nobody knew what they should do at that point. And we had to get together. And that was when I was most effective, was saying, okay, to get to that answer, we need this data. And what are we going to do with that data? Well, we're going to do sentiment analysis on that. And then they're like, well, you know what? I think we could do it this way. Once they knew that, then they were ready to go. I need you to go scrape, and I need you to get all news articles and customer reviews. They could do that, but they didn't know that's what they needed to go get to be part of the MVP. So work and as I'm doing this, the product manager or basically the owner, the founder of this company is like, I'll just be hands off and let you do. I'm like, no, it's not, because my job as now the technology lead is to meet the business requirement. And I don't know your business, and it's this weird thing. And so now I've noticed my job is like project management on steroids. It's bringing people together. And, I do it the way I know how. If you know anything about Armenians, there's two things that we're really good at. First, we're very excitable people. Have you ever noticed?
Oh, really, Charlie?
I'm a passionate guy, right? Yeah,
I would have never realized that.
John, if you probably even have met my mom, you'll realize we're all that way. And then the second thing is we treat you with food. So I have brought my teams together and we're getting food and hanging out for 5 or 6 hours. And then the cool ideas happen. But we need to still get in a room, still have that, it's like, the best coding was with beer and pizza. Same thing today, right? Same thing today. We can't augment that. I cannot build things on my own, sitting in my room by myself. I'm just not that good. I never will be, but I'm really good when I got 4 others around.
Yeah. So I'm about to learn something new here. What's the Armenian equivalent to beer and pizza?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, because it's part of the old Soviet Union, we made vodka and brandy, and we do pretty good on the wines too. So we can say that. But what we would do is first of all, we have what's called lemon, which is like a meat pizza. But with pita bread and what's called sujuk is like a sausage, a very spicy.
Yeah.
And Armenian string cheese, that would be like what we would call our meza that we'd put out.
Yeah,
and then my mom would probably make these things called bed eggs, which are like little cheese triangles with phyllo dough. So good. And then we kind of Americanized our food these days. And so shish kebab, marinated in a nice red wine and garlic, is with lamb, of course, would be the ideal thing, which we never do anymore, but that would probably be it. But at the end of the day, just give me some hummus, pita bread, Armenian string cheese, and some sujuk sausage, and I will be a happy person. I could work all night.
You'll be a happy camper. Yeah. All right, Charlie.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Charlie, God, it's been great conversation.
So much fun.
It always is fun to talk with you. You're always picking up new insights, right? And I think this, just my observation the last few times we've talked, I think this engagement with these consulting projects.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you're just energized as hell by this, right? I mean, and working with your team, you can feel the energy you have with your team and stuff. So it's very cool to see. So
thank you.
Before we jump off of data and maybe ask you 1 or 2 wrap-up questions.
Sure.
And we can treat the Armenian equivalent to beer and pizza as one of the wrap-up questions. Any last sort of observations or things that I haven't asked you about regarding data and what's going on with data and what's important? I mean, you've mentioned a bunch of good stuff, but just give you a chance to throw out a last thought if we haven't touched on it.
Yeah, I think one of my big missions now is 2 things. I want to create community. And so you'll see I'm always promoting every meetup that's out there and anything that's going on. I just love our data and tech community. But what I'm more concerned with or really passionate about these days is the average person, is the person that is fearful of what's coming, that doesn't embrace data in their business or in their job and think that things are going to take their job. AI is not going to take your job. And I don't want to even hear that somebody is going to take your job that's using AI. You know who's going to take your job? You. That's it. And your job is not going to be the same next year. It's not going to be seen the year after that. And to have a positive approach to that. So I want to take the complex of the AI world and simplify it down for people these days and give it to them in a way that makes sense. And hopefully then they can understand and not be fearful. So try to be the calm in the chaos. Take the fear out of AI and figure out, like you said, like, we've been here before. We've seen this. Now, not to this level. AI,
no.
A little
Not to
bit
this
more
level.
than just the internet.
Oh, yeah.
But we've seen this before. And we understand what role it takes. We understand that in the beginning, it's almost all gimmicky, right? Chatbots is what we're using it for. We're going to be so much different in a few years.
Yep.
But you start out with the gimmick and then you go into the processes. And so taking the complex and simplifying it for the average person, I think is needed. And I also think it's something that I want to spend a lot of time on here in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm writing a blog post that probably will get posted next week. And I've got 2 quotes sort of in it right now. And I'm trying to figure out if I need them both. But, relative to that point about just don't be afraid of it, right?
Yeah.
There's an old REM song, right? That I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel
fine.
Yeah,
Right? And I feel fine, right?
That's right.
So the other one is don't fear the reaper, but I can't figure out how to work more cowbell into that. So,
there you go. That's it.
In the
Just
blog
more
post.
That's it. That's what AI needs. Just more cowbell.
More cowbell. Yeah. So that's what AI is for most of our jobs. It's more cowbell, man.
That's right.
So, well, Charlie, something I've been asking everybody we have on and have gotten some really interesting answers.
Oh.
So what's Charlie Apigian's technology guilty pleasure?
It's simple. Yeah, I do know it. I love apps so much that I change for no reason. And what I mean by that is like I have used every task management one out there. And my wife's like, why are you switching again? I'm like, because that's what I do. And why are you using that email one instead of this? And I'm like, because, and I'm like, I'm almost ready. Like I am all Apple. I'm like, I almost want to go buy a Google phone or something different. Why? Because I just love change. And so that's my thing. And so, yes, I literally went I was going back to writing paper and pen. I'm back to writing with the good old iPad. Why? Because I want to, and I want to try a new writing tool. And so that's my guilty pleasure probably. And everybody knows that if I decide we're using one thing, they know I'm going to change it in 6 months.
Yeah, you're not stuck with it forever. Just wait till
right.
Charlie changes his mind.
That's
okay.
Right.
That's great, Charlie. All right. Well, Charlie, I really want to thank you for spending some time with us today.
It's been great.
It's been great to know you as I got into the Nashville tech community.
Thank you.
And stuff, and to watch the things you've been doing, to watch the impact that you've had on so many of your students, right? And I think on the community at large, but I think we're all about our students at NSS. And I know that's in your heart, right? I mean, that's wired real deep into Charlie Apigian. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that.
Well, and John, we've had that kin, haven't we? Like, I have always been such a fan of what you are doing. And I remember the early days where I feel like it was just John there. And he had this vision and was bootstrapping it. And everybody had to come in, right? I remember the days when there was no such thing as online at NSS. And it was a tough grind for those students. But I always knew that you were doing it for the right reason. You didn't go out and do it for profit. You became a nonprofit so people could get loans, that people could do certain things. It was always about the student. And I have not always seen that. We've seen a lot of boot camps come and go in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
But Nashville Software School has stayed. Why? Because it's been at the heart of what Nashville is in its community. And it's about building that student body that can be our future workforce. And I want to thank you for that and staying with it as long as you have. And I literally have reaped the benefits from it by having Matt work with me. And it's not going to be my last Nashville Software School. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll keep getting them ready, Charlie, for when you need them. So,
love it.
Well, thank you for your comments. That's very kind. And again, it's just been, it's just been so cool. And the root of that is the students. It's and the people in the community. It's just, and Nashville's been a great place to do that compared to a bunch of other places I've lived. So that's the other element here that now we're trying to change Nashville pretty hard, but it's still better than lots of places. Let's face it. So
that's
all right, Charlie. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And so to everybody listening, thank you. We'll probably as we listen again to rapid fire here, we'll probably find a few things to drop links in about, as they say, down below.
That's right.
In the show notes. So, and then come back and hear more thoughts like these, hear more interesting people chatting to us about technology and jobs and careers and Nashville when you visit NashvilleSoftwareSchool.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, John.